everybody welcome to our, I'll do my Pastor Bob voice. Yes. Okay. Welcome to our December senior forum. And so we're up in our game this year. We have cookies and carols, but we also have a presentation for you from our wonderful Good Shepherd Endowment. So if you've ever wondered what the endowment is about, you get to find out today, and Heidi here is going to be our presenter.
Hello everybody, how are you guys doing today?
Good, thank you.
Good, wonderful. My name is Heidi McDonald. I've been on the Endowment Council now. This is my third year, finishing my third year. And I'm currently our secretary, so I get to take the notes at our monthly meetings and stuff. And with me today is Paula Kent. Want to raise your hand, Paula? And Sue Hoffs, who just started with us last month on our committee. So maybe just a show of hands to start with. How many of you guys are familiar with what the endowment fund is? Couple? Great, most of you are. So we do have that available at Good Shepherd for if you choose to give to the church, or you can give separately to the endowment fund. And what our committee does, we meet monthly, and for that account, there are funds that are available to us every year from the endowment fund that we are able to then go ahead and disperse through grant requests that are given from the church to us. So different people submit a grant request, and we have to review those grants and then decide if we're going to grant them for the funds. So the endowment fund itself is over $1 million. It's a wonderful thing that was started years and years ago. I don't even know how many years it's been going on. I've been at Good Shepherd for 22, and I know it's been here for a long time. And so the interest of that fund basically is available to us to look at and decide. So our committee decides on what to give. And so today I just wanted to share what we've done this year with those funds, and then also talk a little bit about, there are some tax advantages. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of giving to the endowment fund. And then last but not least, just ask your opinion. We have some things that we are working on for possibly getting like a financial planner to come in and present to people to talk about how they want to do their estates and things like that. And so I just want to know if we're interested, if that's something that the congregation is interested in, or that. So first of all, I'll just go over.
Heidi, can I have you move to the other side so I can get that?
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll scoot over here and do my man on this side.
You can do it. Excellent. There we go. Perfect.
So the amount of funds that we had to disperse this year were $59,917.52. And you'll see some of the things that we were able to do with those funds this year. The first one being the banquet, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with, down the street at the church, and it's now moving to the Dream Center. They need some new stoves for the Dream Center building, and so the endowment fund was able to support purchasing those. We also did the signs that you guys saw at the congregation that you can put in your yard signs. So we also helped pay or approved a grant for those to be available here at the church for anybody to use to help promote the church itself. We just approved a grant for next summer. Our youth, led by Pastor Bob and Ashley, are going to be going to a national youth gathering. And so to supplement the cost for some of those kids to go, and also some of the adults, I know this next year they're trying to bring one of our Good Shepherd, like a small band, to the youth gathering and really strongly represent our youth to Minneapolis. So there was a grant there approved to help supplement the cost for some of the kids to go so that we have more kids. And I think our last youth gathering in Houston, I want to say our number was like 60 or 70 kids. We had one of the largest groups there nationwide. So that was pretty amazing. So we want to be able to support that. We also did The ministry fair, if you guys attended the ministry fair that was this fall that Mary was in charge of, we helped support the breakfast, the food that was there. There was little yogurt parfaits, so that was good. Let's see. Youth in Action scholarships. There are some high school scholarships that kids can apply for Good Shepherd, so we did supplement that this year. And then also Mary organized the God's Work Our Hands Day, and I'm not sure if anybody volunteered for that event. But we also supported some of the costs for the food and supplies and things like that. And then lastly, just last month, Pastor Rindy and Julie and Bob have all been promoting Good Shepherd, as you may or may not know, is now going to be on Vet Communications on Sundays at 1 o'clock. So what we did for the endowment fund was go ahead and support that ministry so that we could go ahead and support it for weeks that it's not going to be sponsored by somebody else. So that's a really great opportunity to show our church and our service across the state. And Vet Communications, of course, is all across North Dakota, goes into Minnesota and Montana. So for those of you that have family maybe that, would like to see our church and maybe they don't want to mess with Facebook or try and go online and watch it, they can watch it on Sundays at 1 o'clock and see what we do. Any questions on these things? While we're on the grant request, is there, to submit a grant request, it's about a 2-page form. It's pretty easy to fill out. And what we do need to make sure it doesn't meet our ministry and doesn't meet the mission of the endowment fund. So, we don't just approve everything that comes our way. We do have to make sure it meets the requirements in our bylaws. But is there anything that you guys would like to see for grant requests that, we do a lot of different things throughout the year, but is there something that you would like to see, that's missing in a church that you think would be important to bring up? If there's anything you can think of.
And it's meant for innovative new ministries, not so much to support existing ministries. But
right, it's completely separate from the church's normal budget, that we do for our normal expenses. This is for other things. So, in the past we've done, like I said, scholarships for Camp of the Cross, counselors. We've done lots of really, really great things, but again, each year those funds are available to us, and so you don't have to say today, but if you think of something and you think, boy, I think this would be great, and can be in our church, or like the banquet, it could be something in our community that you feel there's a need that maybe those funds could be used for. So if you decide you want to do a grant request, you can just go contact the church office, and they have a form to fill out. Like I said, it's pretty easy. And then we review it on a monthly basis. So that's that. What else am I missing on the list?
Why don't you explain the Dorothy Bauer Fund?
Oh, yes, absolutely. See, I would have forgot that. So in addition to the endowment fund part of it, there was an individual, her name is Dorothy Bauer, who passed away years ago, and part of her passion was youth. And so her estate, she established a separate endowment for hers called the Dorothy Bauer Fund. And so every year we have funds that are designated just for youth. So of her funds, she decided in her estate that was really important to her. So if a grant request comes in, like the youth gathering one, that's one that fits really well in there. And so we would use those Dorothy Bauer funds versus using the other endowment funds. By giving those things, like I said, our youth has had so many great opportunities. I know they've done some work down in the youth room, and Pastor Bob and Ashley are always thinking of wonderful things to do there. So the Dorothy Bauer Fund is part of the endowment that we also review each month. This last year we did hire a financial advisor. So I work at a bank, but I'm by no means going to tell you that I want to be the one to manage all the money, and neither does our committee. So we did hire a specific financial advisor to help us manage those funds. So we make sure that it continues to grow every single year. And let's see, last but not least, one of the things we are looking at, well, actually two of the things we're looking at, really some fun things. So giving to the endowment fund, you can get some specific tax benefits by giving to an endowment fund versus like just giving to the church separately. And so if you decide that you wanted to give to that, you could talk to your financial advisor or tax advisor, and they would tell you you can get some tax benefits back, so you're actually giving more money to the church by doing it that way, because you do get a tax credit back. So that's one thing to look at if you ever are looking to give some funds. Again, the general church fund or the building fund, again, are all great things to give to if you so choose. But giving the endowment fund actually does give you some great tax advantages as well. So that's great. And then we are going to be doing some, and by no means are we going to be as fun and probably as cute as Ashley and Nicole every single Sunday when they do their children's sermon, but we are going to try and do a couple of informational videos that just talk about, not even so much endowment, but just giving to the church, and maybe just some things that people don't know. Like, can I, if I decided to get an estate plan together where I want to gift some stock that I have, could I give that directly to the church? Or how do I do that? Or can I gift my home when I pass away? Maybe I want so much to go to my family, and then I want so much to go to the church. So there's some different things that we can do as well. And then last but not least, we have not had that we've been in contact with the ELCA advisor who just does estate planning and talks to people about their wishes. And it doesn't even have to, he would sit down, we already pay for his service through our ELCA dues, I guess. And so it doesn't cost you anything to sit down with him and meet with him and say, this is what I want to do. I want to give to this charity. I want to give to my kids. I want to do this. And he can help you do that. So we're looking at bringing him in maybe down the road for those individuals that are interested in doing that planning. So I know my mom is elderly, and I help her with a lot of her planning, and she's like, oh, I never even knew some of this stuff existed. What are you talking about that you help with this endowment fund? I don't even know what that is. Or, she recently received, has an IRA, and she got a required minimum distribution, and I said, well, if you give to the church, you could direct that to the church directly instead of coming to you, and then, you wouldn't have to pay income taxes on it. And she's like, oh, I didn't know that. So there are some really good things that, even we didn't know about. So we're looking at doing that for those that are interested, and just educational pieces as well. So what am I missing, ladies?
Just on a personal note, I've been on the committee for about a year, and a few months ago, a grant was brought to the table, and I didn't like it, so I voiced my dislike. Well, that's when I found out, since I'm a relative newcomer, it doesn't matter on our committee members, our likes or our dislikes, so there's no prejudice involved. It's based on our bylaws.
And that's really true. We're based upon what our bylaws state as far as does it meet the requirements of the bylaws. It might be something that I say, oh, I don't know if that's the best use of the funds, but that's not, like Paula said, that's not her, individual choice. So, like I said, we try and be good stewards of it. Make sure we're doing good investments in there so that this lives on for a long, long time as well. So, do you guys have any questions for me or things that you want to bring up?
Yeah, where are the 2 stoves going to be up there? Is the banquet is to purchase 2 stoves for a new location?
Yeah, so the banquet is moving out of the church. Is it First Lutheran Church? Trinity Lutheran Church, you're right. It's moving out of there, and it's going to be renamed Carla's Kitchen. I'm not sure if you guys have volunteered there. Carla's in charge over there now. And it's moving to the Dream Center. It's a brand new building. I believe it's I have the address, like up by South 12th Street, so it's South Bismarck. And it's going to house the banquet and a whole bunch of other agencies together. And so it's moving out of the church and moving there. And so they wanted to get two, brand new stoves versus trying to pull them out of the church, because of course those were the churches when they're just basically using them over the years. So those will stay.
And they want to expand their ministry to feed people every day.
Yeah, they want to expand their ministry to serve meals every single day instead of just what they do now. So
Right,
stoves
and it's,
are-
and it's for youth also.
Anybody can come to the banquet. Good question, though. Does anybody else have any questions?
On that TV, are they gonna carry, is that gonna be live then? Or is that pre-recorded?
It's
like this
pre-recorded.
now?
It's pre-recorded, and so we actually learned some things from Pastor Bill this weekend, or just yesterday at our meeting. So in order for us to get it to Beck, and when Peter goes and sends our service to Beck Communications, it takes them about 6 hours to upload that into their system and encode it. And so that means if we want to be current, which is what they're trying to do right now, they want to have, on a Sunday, this specific Sunday, they want to be current. Right now, they're pre-recording. The other option would be to do it a week later. So, we would have the live service, and then it would air the next Sunday. But of course, if it's Christmas weekend, we would prefer to have the Christmas service at that time. So right now, they're pre-recording, which is a little bit more work, but they're also able to control the feed a little bit better to make sure it's, clear and everything too. So when it's live, it's a little bit harder to control some of those things. So.
When is that supposed to start?
It started 2 weeks ago, so it's starting now. So if you turn on your Beck Communications, and again, Beck, if you have just a TV, it's on antenna, dishes, mid-continent cable, anything. So, like I said, if anybody who can turn on Beck Communications across North Dakota can watch it at 1 o'clock on Sundays.
Do you want to mention what Pastor mentioned about how much that costs for sponsoring?
Yeah, so one of the options that we're going to have for that service is if somebody chooses, they can actually sponsor the service for that Sunday. The cost is about $250, so it's not outrageously expensive to sponsor it. So, for example, Pastor Randy said, well, my wife and I are celebrating our anniversary in a couple weeks. I would like to sponsor that in honor of our anniversary. So that'll be something that if people want to sponsor a weekend, they can put a picture up of them or whatever, just saying sponsored today by, Pastor Randy and his wife. Otherwise, it'll say, for a while, it'll say the Endowment Council has sponsored the service. What was your question?
I would like to know what channel it is on. When you want to watch it on TV, what channel?
I would have to check everybody's a little different. I know antenna is it was 26.1.
I have mid-continent is six,
Mid-continent, yeah.
okay, 609,
609?
Yeah, I was going to say 609 if you have mid-continent cable. And as far as the dish, I'm not sure if you have like a dish network.
You said 26?
26 is, I think, if you have just the antenna with no cable.
26.
26.
Christy has a graphic on the digitals that's got a lot of the local stuff on it.
Yeah, so, and again, you can share that, with anybody. Like I said, my relatives are in Fargo and they love coming to our church when they're here. But, so I said, if you want to watch our church, you can watch now on Sundays. And like I said, my mom doesn't necessarily love to get the live feed on her Facebook, on her phone. So she, would rather just watch it on TV versus trying to log in or else watch it on her phone.
Live feeds are dangerous. We go for the safe.
Any more questions that you have about the endowment or, again, you can always reach out to any of us. Like I said, Sue's brand new, so she probably doesn't have a lot of information.
Right,
Paula
right.
and I have been on the
I
committee.
know
I'm
who
just
to talk
learning.
to, Sue will say.
I'm learning.
Mhm. And we're just trying to get some education pieces out, to everybody, just to, like I said, doing the estate planning and financial advising, that would be completely, voluntary. It's nothing that we would be pushing, it's just if you so choose. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you guys very much. And Karen, you want to assume your position, and we'll do some carols, and then we'll get our cookies. You guys have to work up an appetite.
Thank you. It's very
On your
good.
table, you'll find some carol.
Your public speaking's very good.
Let's just go right through. We'll start with
Yeah.
the first
I
Noel.
appreciate that.
Thank you for the large print.
You're welcome.
You guys enjoy your day with the cookies? That sounds wonderful. Yeah. Carols and cookies, what could be more fun?
Check it out before you go.
I know I might have to steal a cookie before I'm eating lunch, so maybe.
Steal it.
You're not stealing. We're offering. We're offering.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a good rest of the course. Julie always tells me you guys have a great time.
Oh, yeah. This is a fun crew. That's why I hang out with us.
I'm not gonna be here for Christmas.
Okay. Ready to go?
Four is too much? What do you think? 1 and 4? Sure. We'll skip the shepherds and the wise men, right? 1 and 4. Sounds good, 1 and 4? The kids sang it so well last night. Well, we'll try to do it as good.
Thank you.
a child is this? And these three shorter verses there. Child